He told Democrat donors to mark my words, he said, that there were at least 4 or 5 scenarios that would place our country at risk in an Obama administration. Guess we gotta say first, thanks for the warning, Joe. And in case you're thinking that, well, that's just another case of Joe getting carried away at the podium, and you know, no, because we also heard then from former Secretary of State Madeline Albright. She was asked if it was true, should we expect an international crisis with an untested man, Barack Obama, in the White House? And she said, well, she quotes, I think it is just a statement of fact. And Joe didn't specify what all those 4 or 5 scenarios would be, but for clues, let's review the Obama foreign policy agenda. First, our opponent wants to sit down with some of the world's worst dictators with no preconditions met first. He proposes to meet, for instance, with a regime in Tehran that vows to wipe Israel off the map. So let's call that crisis scenario number 1. And then Senator Obama also has advocated sending our U.S. military into Pakistan without the approval of the Pakistani government. Invading the sovereign territory of a troubled partner in the war against terrorism, we need to call that scenario number 2. And Barack Obama opposed the surge strategy that has finally brought victory in Iraq within sight, that John McCain voted to cut off funding for our troops over there, leaving our young men and women at risk. Pulling out, prematurely leaving some 25 million Iraqis then at the mercy of an Iranian-supported Shiite extremist and Al-Qaeda in Iraq. They would be at their mercy. But by his own admission, he says that even that could mean that our troops would have to go back to Iraq. So that's crisis scenario number 3. And then after the Russian army invaded the democratic nation of Georgia, Senator Obama's reaction was one of indecision and moral equivalency, the kind of response that would only encourage Vladimir Putin to invade Ukraine next. And that would be crisis scenario number 4. But I guess that the looming crisis that most worries the Obama campaign right now has got to be Joe Biden's next speaking impeachment. Are similar to his earlier assessment of Barack Obama all throughout the primary. Remember, he said, and it wasn't that long ago, that Barack Obama wasn't up to the job, and that, quote, the presidency is not something that lends itself to on-the-job training. This is the same Joe Biden that said he would be honored to run on the ticket with John McCain because, quote, he said the country would be better off. And here we have some common ground.